They say that on certain cold Virginia mornings, when the wind slices through the trees like blades, you can hear something out there. A soft dragging sound, almost human, but mixed with something completely wrong. The tearing of fabric, like a costume being scraped across the wet forest floor. And then, before you even understand what you're looking at, two huge ears rise from the darkness. A rabbit, the size of a man, or worse. A man dressed as a rabbit. But the question that truly haunts this story isn't who was he. It's why would someone, hiding behind a rabbit suit, attack people with an axe? And the most disturbing part, why, after a century of sightings, has no one been able to prove that he's not out there anymore? The legend of the bunnyman is one of the oldest and most persistent urban tales in the United States. It comes from the state of Virginia, more specifically from Fairfax County, a place that, despite its calm suburban appearance, hides a long history of unsettling accounts. That's where the infamous bridge stands, the one that became the symbol of this legend. Bunnyman Bridge, officially known as Colchester Overpass. Today, it looks like just another concrete tunnel swallowed by the shadows of the forest. But for decades, and according to some locals, even now this place has been the stage for strange sightings, unexplained vandalism, and attacks the police never managed to justify. The legend mixes real events, police documents, and a long chain of testimonies dating from the 1900s to today. And like every good American urban horror tale, it starts as a rumor, but grows big enough to attract professors, reporters, historians, and of course, thrill-seekers who swear they saw something they'll never forget. Over the years, the bunnyman became much more than a man in a costume. He became a symbol, a kind of modern folklore entity, a reflection of suburban paranoia mixed with psychological terror. But before we talk about recent sightings, we need to go back to the beginning, to the moment when the rabbit man stopped being just a rumor and became something truly feared. It all starts in the early 20th century, when stories about violent fugitives circulated among the rural communities of Virginia. One of the most famous versions tells that a bus transporting patients from a psychiatric hospital crashed. Several inmates escaped, but one of them was never found. His name, according to the legend, was Douglas Griffin, a man with a history of unstable behavior, an obsession with childish symbols, and a record of brutal attacks. Guards searched for him for weeks without success, until they began finding signs. Dead rabbits, mutilated, hung from trees, and carefully opened from the chest downward, like a macabre signature. Whether this is true or not, no one knows, but it was enough to make the region afraid. A fear that would only grow after the event that fully shaped the legend. 1970. The night everything changed. On the night of October 18, 1970, a couple was parked outside a house. Just a quick stop before hitting the road again. The street was quiet. The trees were still. It looked like any ordinary night, until something moved. A man, wearing a white rabbit suit, his face fully covered except for his eyes, two empty black holes, staring without blinking. He walked up to the car and, without saying a word, raised an axe. Then he began smashing the front of the vehicle with inhuman strength, shouting, "You're trespassing on my property." The couple screamed, started the car, and sped away, leaving the attacker behind. And here's where things get stranger. When police arrived, they didn't find the man, Sid, but they did find the axe embedded in the windshield. The local press reported the incident, and from that moment on, dozens of new accounts appeared. Similar attacks, identical descriptions, and always the same figure, the man in the rabbit suit. Sightings, attacks, and the bridge mystery with the new reports. A pattern became clear. Almost every encounter happened near Bunnyman Bridge. Some witnesses claim he just stood still, watching cars pass by. Others say he ran toward people before disappearing into the woods. Some swear they heard low laughter echoing inside the tunnel, as if he were hiding just behind the darkness. And on certain nights, dead rabbits were found near the bridge, as if someone was leaving a warning for anyone bold enough to approach. The question no one could answer for years. Investigators tried to figure it out. Some suggested it might be a bored teenager pulling pranks. Others thought it could be someone with psychological issues. But none of these theories explain the strangest part. The sightings still happen today, and even more unsettling, no one was ever arrested. No one ever came forward, and no one ever proved that the bunnyman is or was just an ordinary person. The supernatural shift as decades passed, the legend began to take on a stranger, almost paranormal tone. Some say the bunnyman vanishes the moment you try to follow him. Others claim he watches silently until you turn your back, then appears behind you without a single footstep. Campers report seeing flickering lights inside the tunnel, as if someone was pacing behind the shadows. And some swear they heard a low whisper saying, "Get out," as if it were right beside them, even though no one was there, human or not, spirit or something else entirely. One thing is clear, he doesn't want anyone near that bridge. Over the years, countless amateur investigators have tried to uncover the truth behind the bunnyman legend. Some brought cameras, others voice recorders, and many brought nothing but the courage to face the unknown. But among all those stories, there's one that stands out, one that's still considered the most disturbing experience ever recorded at the Bunnyman Bridge. It happened in 1992, when a group of 4 teenagers decided to spend Halloween night inside the tunnel. They wanted to prove the whole thing was nothing but a superstition. They went in laughing, joking around, nudging each other. They set up a camera, a simple, amateur device, one that still exists today, kept in someone's personal collection, never publicly released. Around 2 a.m. the atmosphere changed. The wind stopped. The forest went silent. It was like the entire world was holding its breath. Then, in the background of the recording, they heard it. A slow, tearing sound, like fabric scraping against concrete. One of the teens ran toward the mouth of the bridge to see what it was. And that's when they saw something they would never forget. A white figure, standing completely still, right on the road just a few meters from the tunnel. The costume was filthy, ripped, stained with something that looked like mud or blood. The rabbit head was tilted slightly to the side, as if trying to understand who they were. The camera shakes. They step back, and that's the moment the bunnyman takes the first step, then the second, and then, without warning, he starts to run. The camera falls to the ground, but keeps recording the sound of screaming, frantic footsteps, and the echo of an axe hitting concrete. The teens managed to escape, but when they came back with the police, all they found were deep, fresh marks carved into the tunnel wall, violent strikes no one could explain. None of the 4 talk publicly about that night. But when asked, they only say one thing: he's not a person. And if you think the sighting stopped after that, you're wrong. Recent reports come from 2020, 2022, 2024. Drivers, campers, delivery workers, all claiming to have seen the white figure standing in the middle of the bridge, described exactly the same way as more than 50 years ago. Some say that when they blink to look again, he disappears. Others say he's always closer than he seems. And a few insist the bunnyman isn't just defending a territory. He's waiting. But waiting for what? Or worse, waiting for who? And the answer might lie in the question nobody wants to ask. If he were just a normal person, how could someone like that survive for more than a century without ever being caught or identified? The story of the bunnyman is, above all, a reflection of human fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of what hides behind masks. Fear of the thing we look at, without realizing it's staring back. The bridge is still there, cold, silent, untouched by time. And thousands of people visit it every year, some chasing a scare, others trying to solve the mystery, and many just out of curiosity. But if you ask any old local around there, they all say the same thing. Don't stop there after midnight, because the legend may have started with a man, but no one knows what he became. And the most terrifying part is that in every version of this story, one detail never changes. He always appears when someone thinks they're alone, and he always watches before he acts. In the end, the bunnyman isn't just another urban legend. He's a reminder, a shadow moving between reality and myth, a warning not to underestimate the things that slip through the cracks of logic. And maybe that's why the bridge has never been closed, because some stories don't want to be buried. They want to be seen. If you enjoyed this dark dive into the bunnyman, the rabbit man of Virginia, don't forget to drop a like. It really helps the video reach more people subscribed to Urban Secrets. For more obscure legends and real mysteries, comment below. Would you dare cross the Bunnyman Bridge after midnight? I really want to know. And remember, in the world of urban secrets, not every legend is just a story.